can't hear you. Good evening. That's more like it. Well, good evening. My name is Carl Lainanen, and I have the privilege of being the Master of Ceremonies for this evening. And on behalf of the Rally Maine 2002 organization, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to come here tonight. Now, I want to conduct a little informal survey. Who here is from Southern Maine, south of Augusta? Let's hear some applause. How about the other end of the state, Northern Maine? How many came down from the county? How about Washington County? Anybody here from Washington County? Okay. Now how about, folks, how many people are here from the Augusta, Gardner, Waterville area? Well, that's great. That's really terrific to see so many people here on a Thursday night. We have a special evening planned for you in support of some great candidates. Candidates like Tom Allen in the 1st Congressional District, Michael Michaud in 2nd Congressional District, Shelley Pingree, U.S. Senate, and John Baldacci for governor. Now, one of the traditional duties of a Master of Ceremony is to warm up the audience with a few jokes while we wait for special guests. Now, to be honest, I heard the groans already. Those are the people that know me, and they know telling jokes is not my forte. Not only do I never remember the jokes, I'm still working on trying to figure out why did the chicken cross the road? See, I told you. To make up for my lack of comedic ability, we've arranged for someone who's a whole lot funnier than me to entertain you, and that's Gary Crocker. Before Gary begins, is James Demchek. We need you to report to the front ticket area. James Demchek. Please report to the front ticket area. Thank you. Now, obviously a few of you guys know Gary. I can tell by the ones leaving. But Gary Crocker is a Maine native who was born in Lewiston and currently resides in West Gardner, I think is how you pronounce it, isn't it? West Gardner. Now, he wrote this whole long thing I'm supposed to read to you. Not that he's vain or anything. But let me just tell you that Gary has appeared throughout New England and across the country in such places as San Francisco, Dallas, Orlando, Chicago, and folks from Chicago up there. And now get this, folks, he's also appeared in Spearfish, South Dakota. Now that's pretty impressive, Gary. He's the only Maine humorist to be invited to address the Maine legislature 4 times. And recently released his first comedy CD. Is this a plug, Gary? This is a plug, folks, a shameless plug. His first comedy CD titled Riding Across Maine, Looking for Laughs. Gary believes in the power of humor to improve almost any situation, and he's here with us to share some Down East stories in the classic Maine tradition. Please join me in welcoming Gary Crocker, a real Maine-grown, homegrown humorist.
Hear me good up there. Can you hear me way upstairs? Good. We got a sharp group here tonight, mister. Now listen, go too far. I want to tell you about a little discussion I had with Mother, who's right down front here somewhere. My wife and I live in West Gardner, Maine on a dirt road, and we're quite proud of that. It's quite snappy out there, but I will tell you this. 2 newlyweds just moved in next door. Mother and I were standing out next to the mailbox this morning getting our paper. And I'm standing there looking at them newlyweds, and that fella is all over his wife, he's hugging her and kissing her and carrying on. He can't hardly quit to get in the car and go to work. Finally, after it goes on for about 10 minutes, he finally breaks away, gets the car and drives away. My wife turns to me and says, "Why don't you do that?" I said, "Mother, I hardly know the woman." I also asked my wife, I said, "Listen, if I want a main humorist out working day and night, earning money, coming home and talking before the President of the United States gets to talk and all that stuff, would you still love me?" She goes, "That's a stupid question. Of course I'd still love you." I'd miss you a lot, but I'd still love you. Now, before I go any further, I want to teach everybody here a little something, and I hope you can see me from way up back, but in a crowd like this, it's wicked important for you to look important. I know everybody comes in, you can tell the important people, they're talking in their sleeve and stuff like that. I saw two of them fellas out back, and they weren't even involved with the whole thing yet. But the thing that I like, when I go to a group in South Dakota or anywhere else that's a big-time place in this country, I look around, just like I did tonight, you can tell the important people just like that. You know how, don't you? In a high-tech world that we live in, Mr. Man, the important people stand right out because they get a cell phone hanging there, they get a beeper hanging there, they're somebody. Well, I'm not important, I'll never be important. I can see the strain on important people's faces, they're right behind me here. But I'll tell you right now, I want to look important when I go to town, so you know what I do, don't you? I wear my garage door opener, just like that. Yeah, that's the turbo model from Sears and Roebuck in my garage door in West Garden, going up and down right now. Scares the daylights out of the cats. I do want to, I'm in a particular good position tonight to make some comments about state government, and I want to do that right now. Before I get to run out of the place, I want you to know that state government has risen to the challenge of customer service. Now, everybody in the private sector knows that when you're dealing with the public, you've got to make sure that everybody is satisfied every time you deal with them. Well, some state agencies years ago didn't have that attitude, but they've changed their whole approach. For one thing, I'll tell you, the warden service has really stepped up to the plate in terms of customer service. For instance, I am, just so you know, I am a registered Maine poacher. There's 2 or 3 others right down front right here. Fella, you know, a warden picked up a fella poaching in West Gardner last week, and he said, you know, if you'll find me, give me a list of people that's poaching in this area, you know, I'll let you go. And the next morning, he met the fella met the warden for breakfast. He handed him the West Gardner phone book right there. Don't drive to West Gardner unless you expect trouble. But anyway, I got to tell you what they've done. See, most state agencies wouldn't do this, but you might have to, some state agencies you'd have to go line up to get registered for this, that, or the other thing. The warden service does not require that kind of activity on your path. They are absolutely committed to customer service. They will meet you wherever. If you want to be a registered poacher, all you can do is go out in the woods and poach. They'll come do the paperwork right on the spot. But I will tell you who's even better at customer service than the warden service. That's the Maine State Police. No, I'm not kidding. In my history, the Maine State Police have had a history of every time I was in a hurry to get somewhere, and maybe it was just me, but it seemed like every time I was in a hurry, that's when they wanted to stop beside the road and chat. Well, they don't do that anymore. I run into it by accident. They aren't promoting this whole program that they've got underway. It's called an escort service. Now, the way it works, I was late going from Bangor down to Lincolnville, give a talk to that MBNA crowd down there, and I was going 80 miles an hour. I'd have gone faster, but the fellow in front of me wouldn't go any faster. A Maine State trooper sitting beside the road, spotted my predicament, pulled in behind me, put his blue light on so that fellow would pull over and get out of the way. Yeah. Once he was parked beside the road, I got on in pretty good shape. I was going 110 when he put his siren on so no one else would get in front of me. At that point, I'd have thought, you know, in fact, when I got up to about 115, he put his siren on and we're really whistling, and that boy could drive. He stayed right with me all the way to Lincolnville. And you don't know, if he had not been committed to customer service, I'd have thought he'd have gave up on me and let me go when I pulled into the parking lot right there at MBNA. No. He was absolutely committed to customer service. He followed me right into the parking lot. Parked his cruiser right behind my car, jumped out of his cruiser, ran up, opened the door of my car, and helped me out of the car. Even offered me some new bracelets right on the spot. I will tell you this, that service is a tad pricey. Cost me $240 for that little trip. But I just wanted you to know tonight, if you absolutely have to be somewhere in the nick of time, the Mainstay Police will get it done. Don't hesitate. Take advantage of that service. By the way, I do need to mention one person. I am big on people visiting the state of Maine. I love them. God bless them. We need visitors. We are the vacation land. But there's one person that is nothing but an aggravation. And her name is Martha Stewart. That woman come to Maine with a bad attitude and it's our job to beat it out of her. By the way, if you're concerned about Martha's circumstance right now, don't you be afraid for a minute, because if Martha's convicted of anything, she's going to buy the prison, hire the help, and redecorate. You'll want to live there yourself. She'll even stencil a parking lot. It'll be wicked nice. But I want you to know that the boys at the Hinkley Boatyard down on the coast got a start on getting Martha straightened out. She jumped in that long limousine she's got there. That car's so long she ain't even met the driver. They drove all the way up to the Hinkley Boatyard and stopped right at the end of it there. She bailed out of that car, walked straight into the boatyard, and there was one fella standing right in the middle of the boatyard, short, stocky fella with a heavy-set portion above his belt there, 2 teeth and 1 good eye. She walked right up to him. She said, "Hey, you build them Hinkley boats here?" And he said, "Yes, we do." She said, "Well, I want one. I want a 40-footer so I can take both my friends for a boat ride." I personally think she was stretching the truth. He said, "Yeah, we can build you a 40-footer, no problem there." She said, "All right, how long is it going to be before I can take delivery? I want it quick so I can get it." The fellow thought for a minute, and he said, "Well, that'll be about 6 years. 6 years to build one boat? Why?" "Well," he says, "you're number 26. "What do you mean I'm number 26? She said, "Well, there's 25 people in front of you. We got to build them boats first, and then we'll build yours." That's when it got ugly. She looked down her mouth and nose at him and said, "Sir, do you know who I am?" He said, "Yes, I do, madam. You're number 26. We don't care who you are. We care how you treat us in the state of Maine. That's how we do business up here. I will tell you this." That's right. I will tell you this. Maine women are the most focused group of people on the planet. What did I tell you? The way I learned it, see, when a Maine woman gets an idea in her head, get used to it. It ain't going anywhere. Now, jamming a new idea in there can be tough sometimes, but once it's in, it's staying. I will tell you this, though. The way I learned it, my Uncle Wilbur passed away this last year. Wilbur was on his deathbed, and everybody knew it in town. Everybody was clear that Wilbur was passing away. Even Wilbur, he was happy, he was okay, he'd had a good life, he was 97 years old. And he was laying there on his deathbed, drawing what could have been his last breath, and they'd set up a kitchen right next to his room so that his wife Emma could take good care of him. And as he lay there drawing his last breath on this planet, he went, "What's that you're baking there, Mom?" She goes, "It's an apple pie, Wilbur." He goes, "Oh, Emma, you know I love apple pie. Can I get just a little sliver?" She says, "No, it's for the wake." Hard sledding. Speaking of hard sledding, I do want you to know this. Education in Maine is going, we are setting the bar right there. Every child in the state of Maine is going to go over that bar. Math, science, communications. We are committed to education at the highest levels for every one of our children. Now the bad news. The bad news. It's working great all over the state, except we had a little trouble in West Gardner. The Hickey boys got involved. Turns out Ronnie Hickey's the numbest boy in Maine. No, I'm not kidding, he's been tested. Ronnie was sitting about where this fella is, right up front, with that same deer in the headlight look you got going, sir. And the teacher was going on about mathematics. Ronnie wasn't getting it. Teacher could tell. Saw that glassy look. Teacher finally looked down and said, "Ronnie, you ain't getting it, are you?" And Ronnie said, "No, I'm not." She said, "Well, what if we put the education into context for something you do every day? Make it applied learning," which is a good way to learn. That's how we're going to take those children over that bar. We're going to do more applied learning. He said, "I'd probably do better." She said, "Well, what do you do every day?" And he said, "We cut firewood." "Oh, great." Firewood. Now let's see. I'll give a real basic thing to start with and we'll work our way up. Let's say firewood was $10 a cord and you buy $40 worth of firewood. How much firewood you got? Ronnie thought for a minute and he said, you got 3.5 cord. Teacher said, no, that's not right. He says, I know it's not right, but they all do it. I told that at a woodcutters convention in Vermont once. Didn't go that good, really. I will tell you this. A little warning for the holiday season coming out. Last year, Mother and I got all excited. We were going to have an absolutely 100% Maine Thanksgiving. We were going to grow all our vegetables right there in our own property. We were going to drive to Rooster County, get the best potatoes in the whole country. Absolutely. We went early. We went in July. We went down east, down to Washington County, get the best blueberries you can buy on the planet. Brought them back, made some pies, froze them, got ready. We were ready. All we needed was a turkey. And of course, we've got wild turkeys all over the state of Maine now. So we decided to send Wilbur, the best shot in the whole family, with that double-barrel shotgun out to get a turkey. I just want to make this announcement because I don't want anyone else making the same mistake that Wilbur did. Within 20 minutes of leaving the house, Wilbur was in trouble. It turns out, and I didn't know this, neither did Wilbur, that it's illegal to discharge a firearm inside Shaw's Supermarket. He did a lot of damage to that frozen food case. They still made him buy the turkey. And of course it's full of shot now, and being in Maine and the kind of meals we like to, well anyway, he brought it back to the trailer, Mother cooked it up, golden brown, the little thing popped out the side just like it was supposed to. Wicked heavy, it turns out, with all that shot in it. We served it up anyway, got all the shot we could out of it, but you know, Wilbur got a little too much of that shot, ate a little too much of it. He really got quite a bit of that buckshot down there with the turkey. And unfortunately, we served a lot of B&M baked beans along with it. The tragedy was that afternoon, Wilbur bent over and almost killed the canary on the other end of the room there. So be careful this fall. Don't be doing anything like that at Thanksgiving. It's not good. Now, I did bring something with me I want to share with you. Because, and I hope you, I know it's going to be difficult to see out there, and I don't know if you can see. I'll hold it up and see. I brought this with me. I wanted everyone, we have actually prepared the president to understand the Maine dialect. When people come to Maine, they want to do 4 things as quick as they can. They want to see a moose, and we got one chained in the toll booth down Kittredge. They want to eat a lobster, and we fed it to him on the plane. They want to shop at LL Bean, and we just brought him the stuff. And they want to hear somebody say, you can't get there from here. And in a good Maine accent, that sells, mister. They'll pay you to repeat that phrase. Well, the other day, Mother and I were out gomming around on Route 202, and a big car from away pulled up, and a fella put the window, it was one of them big, heavy set cars, one of them big foreign cars, one of them Cadillacs. Fella pulled up, put the window down, stuck his neck out that window of that car, and he says to me, he wanted to know if I knew anything, I think, so he says, hey, you lived here all your life? And I said, not yet. Enough post. When they come to Maine, I think they go away and save up stupid questions, bring them back to ask us. But he won't die, because when men were on vacation like he was, they borrowed their wife's brain to get by. That's what I do, darling. She's right down front, too. Now, I'll tell you right now, this fellow went back into the car and checked with his wife to get a second question. He went back in, he said, all right, I asked the fellow the first one, that didn't work. What do you want me to ask him now? And she said, well, just ask him. And she gave him another question. He came back out. I was still standing there waiting for the second question. They always come back. He says, fella, I don't care how long you've lived in Maine or nothing else. Just tell me this. How do you get to Bangor? And I said, well, my brother usually takes me. You know, you should be prepared to answer them questions in that manner in the event that you see an out-of-state car, especially from that other state that we set free in 1820. They still ain't over it. But I do want to prepare you, because if you get a chance to talk to the president, I just want, he's going to have his ear set for a down east accent. So I'm going to teach you a quick course in Aebonics. Aebonics works like this. The letter R, which we've dubbed around with for years, We put it on words where it doesn't belong, and that leaves holes where it should be. Like we say, ain't that a good idea? Let's go to Augusta. See, we shouldn't be doing that. So I've designed a whole new language called Ebonics. Now everybody can repeat after me if you can see it. The letter between Q and S in the Ebonic alphabet is AH, pronounced ah. Can you say that? Wicked, decent. Now the root word of Ebonics, of course, is Ea. Well done. This here is the verb version of that word. It means to make a minor adjustment in something. If your Dodge Ram Charger ain't running quite right, you put the hood up, get a screwdriver, and just tuck it. If that don't work, get a sledgehammer and whale on it. You do, you'll stave it all up. Now you know how to talk Ebonically. You can talk to the president tonight if you get a chance, and you can get your 10% discount at LLB. Now, one other thing I need to tell you about a friend of mine that showed up this afternoon. Charlie Miller. Charlie's my brother-in-law, actually. Charlie Miller lives up in Albion somewhere, someplace up there. Yeah. Benton, actually. It's in the same neighborhood. Should be one town, actually. But, no, he did. He lives up in Benton, and Charlie did something interesting. Charlie went to church last Sunday. Well, it was the middle of summer. Charlie went to church. He goes 4 or 5 times a day if they'll let him in. He's a good fella. Wicked nice. One of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Well, Charlie went into church this summer, and I happened to bump into him on the main street of Benton. That's the only street in Benton. And as he was coming toward me, I noticed he had a little dark spot on one side of his face. And I said, my goodness, what's happened to Charlie? As I got up closer to him, I could see someone had hit him quite hard. I said, Charlie, what's happened? He said, you know, I was in church the other day, and it was time to sing a hymn, and I stood up. I happened to look in front of me over the hymnal, and that woman in the next pew, her dress was stuck because the humdidy was high. And I figured that couldn't be that comfortable, so I reached down and tucked it out for her. She turned around and hit me with a hymnal. I said, Charlie, I wouldn't do that again. He said, no, I've learned my lesson. About a month later, I'm walking down the same street. He's coming the other way, and he's got another black eye on the other side. I said, my God, Charlie, what have you done now? And he says, Gary, you are not going to believe it. You know that woman in church? I said, you didn't. He said, no. I was in church, my regular pew, come time to sing. I stood up with my hymnal. I happened to look over the top. That same woman was in front of me, and her dress was stuck again. I didn't touch it. Fellow next to me noticed and pulled it out, so I knew she didn't like that, and I tucked it back in. Fellow over there is choking on that one. I think the fellow over there did that once or twice. I do want to tell you one more thing about my Uncle Wilbur. When Wilbur was still around, Wilbur was a heck of a fella. He took his wife and his son and went to Portland. And they had a time of it down there. They got 2 hotels down there, Roundwood, the Sheraton. And they had a wicked, he said, just going in the lobby was a thrill to Wilbur. He walked in that place and the carpet was thick and he was just staring around that room. He said, my God, look at that, look at this. And all of a sudden he noticed there was a section of wall over there that kept opening up. There was a little meeting room back there. And people were having meetings in there, but they'd break up every time that door opened and they'd come out. And other people would go in. Well, he watched that for 2 or 3 hours. His wife got a little bored after a while, went shopping at the mall just across the street. He and the boy stood there to figure out what was going on. They studied it and studied it, about 3 more hours, and finally, Wilbur figured out what was happening. He noticed that a woman about 95 years old come across the floor, stuck her finger out, and touched the button on that wall, which caused them doors to open up. She fought her way inside that little room, and she was all by herself. The doors closed behind her, and that's when he noticed there was some lights on the side that went bing, 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 all the way up to a number 10. It hung right there for a minute. Then it came bing, 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 all the way down to number 1. And them doors opened up, and a gorgeous 23-year-old woman stepped out. He tapped his boy in the arm, and he said, go get your mother. You know, there's some people in here. How many Franco-Americans we got in this building? I got to tell you, I am pleased as punch to be in a building with Franco-Americans because I got to tell you, you can go anywhere you want in the state of Maine and you can see the good work that they've done. From the St. John Valley down to Biddeford or Royston where I was born. These people are hard-working, good Maine people. They made this state a wonderful place to live and work. I'm not actually running for office, but I feel like I should. But the truth is, they've got an interesting accent they use occasionally, too. Someone down front's heard it once or twice.
Somebody must have hit you.
Now, I want to tell this next story out of deep respect for the Franco-Americans that made this state the great state it is, their wonderful commitment, and in memory of a fellow named Marshall Dodge. How many people have heard of Marshall? For those that didn't applaud, Marshall Dodge was one of the finest storytellers. He was not a Maine native, but he should have been. Could have been. He came here and he told stories under the pseudonym of Bird and I. And I want to tell this story in that other wonderful Maine accent. I love accents, and this one is special. Especially coming from where I was born in Boyston. That's how my grandmother said it, that's how I say it. Anyway, Mother and I, as I told you, live out in West Gardner. I come home one day from being in town, and Mother says, you know, Gary, it's time you went to work and earned a living. I said, I know, Mother, but I don't like work. I tried it. She said, yeah, but she said, and you're not good at much either. And I said, no, I know that too. What do you suspect I should do? She said, I don't know. Look it up. So I checked in the yellow pages in West Gardner, both of them. The Want One Moose Caller listed in West Gardner, Maine. I said, my God, that's an obvious business opportunity. I'm going to give that a try. Where can I learn to call moose? Mother says, I don't know. Drive up the Forks. There's a fella up in the Forks up near Bingham. His name's Gagnon the Moose Caller. He's the best moose caller in the whole world. He's a world champion. I said, all right. So I got in the old Dodge Ram Charger, drove all the way up to the Forks, parked in the soft shoulder, walked about a mile in the woods, and I found this cabin out there that had sticks organized over the door that said Gagnon. I knocked on the door swung open. There was a short, stout Franco-American fellow standing there, and I says, are you Gagnon the Moose Caller? And he goes, oui. For the non-Francos, that means yes. I said, listen, I drove all the way up here from West Gardner. I want to learn how to call moose. Can you teach me? And he says, huh. I said, well, someone taught you. I know you can do it. I'm really interested in being a moose caller. And he says, huh, I was born like this. I was just a baby at the time. My parents, they born me right here in this cabin. They put me in the crowd right there, the cradle, they rock the cradle like that. I give the baby a cry. Oh! 3 moose come to cabin door. I am Hinston Pouchy D. I grow up the teenager, the governor of the state of Maine. He say, Gagnon, I want the moose count for me. It was not Hanger scheme. I always let that one settle in just a tad. So I go to the top of Cartan, highest peak in state of Maine, and I make the moose call. Oh, highway 1, 2, 3 minutes. I hear, woo, my heckle from Cadillac Mountain. I wait 3 minutes more. I see dust from horizon to horizon. That's horizon. It was moose stampede. I count 4,322 moose. 2 Alaskan caribou. And 1 dog with a wire lizard's dead. I am so good, he said, at the moose call. Well, about a few years later, the sportsman in Boston, they hear of Gagnon. They say, Gagnon, we want you come down to make the moose call for us, huh? He said, okay. So we go down to Boston. I get in the big room, he said, like this one here. I have the banquet meal. I finish up the meal. And I get up to give the moose call, and I get nervous because I have moose insurance for myself, but not for 1 million people. So I give the moose call anyway. Oh! I wait 1, 2, 3 minutes. I hear, oh, oh, my heckle from Fenway Park. I wait 3 minutes more. I hear the clatter of hooves in the hallway. The doors in the back of the room, they burst open. I see the long snout, the mournful eyes, the massive rack of horn, full-grown bull moose. The sportsmen in the room, they duck under the tables and chairs. Sportsman. I give the moose swim bear. The moose go in the corner, wait for Gagnon. The next morning, I put the moose on the train for Granville Junction, heart of the Maine woods. And as we get to the junction, I set the moose free. The moose walk away stiff-legged. I noticed a trickle of sawdust from one Australian showing up. 3 days later, the clippings show up from the New York Times, from the Boston Globe. It's a moose disappears from Museum of Natural History. I had called the moose from the glass case. I'm Gagnon, world champion, Moose Collier. Thank you very much.
Well, we'd like to begin the formal program with a performance of the Star-Spangled Banner. And here to lead us is a singer who is truly part of the family, the Baldacci family, that is. Amy Weston is the niece of John and Karen Baldacci. Please rise, those of you who are sitting, please rise as Amy Weston performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, will you join me in welcoming Michael Michaud, candidate for Congress in 2nd District.
Good evening. My name is John Carr. I'm the president of the Maine Council of Senior Citizens. There is a lady from North Haven who, after serving as chair of the North Haven School Board, was elected to represent Maine's Senate District 12 in 1992. While she was there, she was elected Maine's Senate Majority Leader. She championed legislation for the Maine College Savings Accounts, Maine's Patients' Bill of Rights, Maine's Corporate Accountability, Land for Maine's Future Bond to preserve land for hiking, hunting, and fishing. And yes, the law the whole country talks about, the Maine prescription drug law. This law, and someday soon, will allow our state to negotiate prescription drug discounts. She has been recognized as Legislator of the Year in 1994 by the Economic Development Council of Maine. 1996, Maine's favorite legislator by the Maine Times newspaper poll. The Arthur S. Fleming Courage to Lead Award from the Center for Policy Alternatives in Washington, D.C. Outstanding legislative leadership on behalf of children and senior citizens by the Maine Council of Senior Citizens. The Women's Hall of Fame, Maine's Federation of Business and Professional Women. In April 2002, she received the first John Marvin Memorial Award to recognize her courage, commitment, and leadership. In addition to some of the awards that I have highlighted, she is pretty She is known to be pretty good at knitting, lobstering, and she bakes a great apple pie. In early June of this year, we Democrats nominated her to be our candidate for the U.S. Senate for Maine. She has been throughout the state. People have liked what they have heard and liked what they have seen, and want to send Shelley Pingree to Washington, D.C. as the United Senator for Maine. For 6 years or more. Shelley isn't here tonight, but her daughter Hannah is, and she will introduce a short video of Shelley.
Has anybody seen this good-looking guy on TV? Let's have it for John Carr, the Maine Council of Senior Citizens. Come on, this crowd is pathetic. Well, I'm very excited to be here tonight. I'm here with my little sister and brother, Cecily and Asa. Stand up. We're all about embarrassing each other. My mom was very sorry she couldn't be here. She had to be in Washington for a meeting with Senator Daschle and some others. Believe me, I had to pack her on the airplane today. She did not leave. She is a very, very big fan of Bill Clinton. So she sent me here tonight to say hello to you all. I'm going to show you a video. Before I do, I just wanted to check. Are there any Shelley Pingree supporters out there tonight? Knocking on doors for Shelley Pingree? If any of you haven't noticed them yet, the Maine Democratic Party has an unbelievable coordinated campaign effort. My mother especially has a huge group of young people who have come from all over the country, come from all over this state, and they're literally knocking on doors every day, talking to voters about how important this election is, how important it is to get my mother into the U.S. Senate. So one more time, let's give a round of applause for all the work we have to do and all the work they're doing. I just want to quickly tell you, I am here tonight to tell you that my mother is going to be the next senator from Maine. About why she will be, but I want to just reinforce we have a lot of momentum going in this campaign. If any of you haven't noticed the Pingree campaign, you've probably been sleeping for a little while because we are out and all over the state. There are signs everywhere, but more importantly, there are people all over the place talking about this campaign, talking about how important the U.S. Senate is, and doing all the work it takes. We have how many days? 27 days left until November 5th. How hard are you all working? I don't know if we're working hard enough yet. My mom has been out, she's been across the state, she's been doing this campaign for more than a year and a half. Last April 26th, she announced she was running with both John Baldacci and Tom Allen at her side. Senator George Mitchell is the chair of the campaign. Since the beginning of this race, we've raised more than $3 million. That's more money than any statewide candidate has raised in history. Our opponent has still raised more than us, but I'm here to tell you that we've raised that money from people like you. From normal, everyday citizens who give us $5, who give us $100. The big corporations are not supporting Shelley Pingree. They've given more than $1 million to our competitor, but we're going to win because people like you have given us, have reached out, have written as big a check as you possibly can, and it has made a huge difference. As of Labor Day, we were 9 points down in the poll. We have been working incredibly hard. Our field team has knocked on more than 100,000 doors since the beginning of June. And if any of you don't know, on an average election, about 500,000 people vote. That means only 250,000 votes are needed to win. If all of you leave here tonight, call up 10 of your neighbors, we will actually make a huge dent on what's needed to win this election. So how many of you are going to go home tonight and do that? We need more of you up there. So I won't go any further. I'll let you watch my mom's video. think it's going to be somewhere out there.
Just worried about the day I have to run against my daughter.
She's really good looking.
Hello, I am so sorry I can't be there with everyone tonight. I know you're having a great time, and I want to thank everyone who's worked so hard to organize this. And I want to thank my 3 kids who are there tonight, and I hope you all have a chance to meet Hannah, Cecily, and Asa. I said to them, I've done your laundry for many years. You're coming back to work for me, and they are. And they're working hard, and we have so many wonderful young people who've been involved in our campaign. I have to be in Washington tonight with Senator Tom Daschle, who's hosting an event in support of our race for the United States Senate. He knows how important it is to maintain a democratic balance, and he believes we're going to win this seat in the state of Maine. I want to thank you so much, Senator Bowman, for being with us here tonight. And I just have to say, we really miss you. We miss the leadership you provided this country, and we miss the great work you did with the economy when we had surpluses, when we had low unemployment. We wish you were back there today, but thank you so much for coming to Maine and standing in support of our Democratic ticket this year. I am very proud to be sharing the ticket with so many wonderful leaders. John Baldacci will be the next governor of the state of Maine. Mike Misha and Tom Allen will be serving for us in Congress, and I will be the next Democratic United States Senator from the state of Maine. I will be there because all of you have been working so hard in support of our campaign, and I thank you so much for that. We've been able to cross the state of Maine, see you at the mill gate, see you in your home, see you in the coffee shops, and talk about those issues that I am standing up for and Democrats are standing up for today, to have a full prescription drug benefit under Medicare, to make sure we have universal access to affordable health care in this country, to make sure we fight for jobs, and we have good economy here in the state of Maine, and we stand up to the corporate special interests who are not on our side. I'm going to need your help in the next 26 days. I promise you I'm going to continue to work very hard, and you can count on me when I am elected to be your next United States Senator, to be honest, to work hard, to always vote my conscience, and to represent the people of Maine and the people of this country who need a voice today. Thank you very much.
We got 27 more days. Let's get out there. Thanks.
Boy, the last time we had a crowd this lively in this building was about 30 years ago. And at that time, it wasn't a president who was here, it was the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. Well, contrary to persistent rumors, the king, Elvis has left the building, but Bill is in the house. Join me in welcoming the 42nd President of the United States, William Jefferson Clinton, wife of his son, Tom Baldacci, and Brenda Kayla.
Brenda Kaler. I'm the president of MSEA SEIU Local 1989. And it is with pleasure that I introduce our next speaker, and we hope that the next governor of our great state of Maine gets elected. By Gory, we're going to do it for Baldacci, and at this point I'd like to introduce his brother, Bob Baldacci.
Good evening. On behalf of my family and the Baldacci for Governor campaign, thank you for your support, for coming here tonight on behalf of my brother, the entire Democratic ticket, and tonight to honor President Clinton. Thank you very much for that. Most of my family is here. I'm the oldest of 8, and I think probably 80% of them are somewhere over there, I think. But again, on behalf of the family, thank you very much. John obviously cannot make it, and you know all why he can't. They had the vote today in the House on the Iraq issue, and my brother did vote the right way. He voted for peace. I talked to him earlier today, and if you know my brother, you know he takes things very seriously. He thinks through the issues, and this was a tough issue. It affects a lot of people, and the only thing that he thought about were the safety of our citizens, our children, and our future. And John made the right decision. It was not an easy decision, but I'll tell you, I was proud of him today. And I'm also very proud to be here tonight on behalf of our family and the campaign to introduce technically the last popularly elected president of the United States of America. You all remember the Clinton years, the 8 years of unprecedented growth and prosperity. This is a Democratic president who balanced budgets, who cut deficits, and who invested for people in education and health care and moved our country forward. That's the kind of governor my brother John will be in this state. He will move this state forward in investing in people, health care, education, economic development, and balance the budget at the same time. And he can do it with your help. So again, on behalf of everyone here, please give a warm Maine welcome to President Bill Clinton.
say, we got a glitch in the schedule. And I want to speak, but I want your candidate for Congress to speak first, because I want to tell you why we need Maine to send us a Democratic senator, a Democratic congressman to re-elect Tom Allen, to elect John Baldacci, and I want the whole thing. So you just relax. I want Congressman to be Michoud to speak first. So Mr. Gorman, come up here and introduce him.
Guests and others, thank you for being here tonight. This is one of the proudest moments of my life when I get to introduce my good friend Mike Michaud. 28 years he's worked in the mill and punched the time clock. That's articulate to me. Social Security is an issue in Maine. Retirement security is an issue in Maine. Health care is an issue in Maine. Prescription drugs are an issue in Maine. Jobs are an issue in Maine. My candidate, Mike Michaud, will talk about jobs, he will talk about Social Security, he will talk about health care, he will talk about prescription drugs. The other guy can just talk about how articulate he is. If your message is a bag of gas, you're going to sound like a gas bag no matter how articulate you are. I give you our candidate, a man of substance, the man who's worked for us for 28 years and 22 years in the Maine legislature, the next congressman from the 2nd District of Maine, Michael Michaud.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for coming here this evening. It's a great pleasure. Especially want to thank Mr. President for coming back to Maine. Mr. President, it gives me special pleasure to welcome you back to Maine, and I can't help but remember when you became president, the country's economy was in the ditch. And you made the hard decisions and turned things around. But the Republicans in Washington could never give you any credit. Oh no. They protested. It's not Clinton who brought prosperity. It's the House Republicans and Alan Greenspan. But guess what? We still have the House Republicans. We still have Alan Greenspan. And where's the economy? It's back in the ditch. We miss your leadership, Mr. President. Mr. President, at a debate last night, my opponent, Kevin Ray, came right out of his chair when I criticized the Republican leadership in the U.S. House of Representatives. Kevin, intense defense of his sponsors showed his loyalty to the men who gave him $1 million. $1 million to tear me down with ads which have been labeled as cheap shots, unfair, and false by our two largest papers and by AARP. These men made a joke out of his efforts to sound like a Democrat and call himself independent. Last year, the Maine legislature increased the minimum wage to help low-income workers. But in Washington, every attempt to help working people is held up by Kevin Ray's sponsors. Mr. Hastert, Army, and DeLay. Here in Maine, Republicans and Democrats have come together to increase funding for family planning. But in Washington, money for international family planning has been cut out thanks to Kevin Ray's sponsors, Hastert, Army, and DeLay. Mr. President, the legislature took your wonderful idea of family leave and we expanded it. But in Washington, all efforts to help family are blocked by Kevin Ray's sponsor, Mr. Hastert, Army, and DeLay. In Maine, we passed laws to assure that women receive equal pay for equal work. But in Washington, all efforts to promote equality run into the passionate opposition of Kevin Ray's sponsors, Mr. Hastert, Army, and DeLay. Here in Maine, Republicans and Democrats work together to make the hard decisions to balance the budget. But in Washington, they had taken the Clinton surplus and squandered it on programs and tax breaks for their wealthy friends. With the help and encouragement of Kevin Ray's sponsors, Hastert, Army, and DeLay. Here in Maine, we passed a constitutional amendment to protect our retirement system because a secure retirement is the most promise government can make. A promise that if you work hard all your life and play by the rules, you'll be secure when your working days are over. But in Washington, that promise is at risk of being broken. The Republican president, the Republican minority leader in the Senate, and Kevin Ray's sponsors, Hastert, Army, and DeLay, they all want to invest our Social Security money back into the stock market. And right now, just one vote in the Senate stands in the way of wrecking the Social Security system in this country. But here is the good news. We in Maine have a unique opportunity to do something about it. Out of 435 House seats in this country, only 20 are going to decide the future of Social Security. If we elect a Democrat in Maine's 2nd Congressional District, we might well have the votes to elect new House leadership. Leaders who will care about what's happening to our families in this state, who will care about our senior citizens. So tonight, I ask each of you to make a promise. Not to me, not to President Clinton, but a promise to the America's seniors, to your fellow workers, and most importantly, to your children and your grandchildren. Promise here tonight that between now and the election, that you will not go on as business as usual. Instead, that you will work just as hard as I am to make sure that we get Democrats out to vote in this election and to elect a Congress that will end the reign of Kevin Ray's sponsors, Hastert, Army, and DeLay. And restore a government by the people, of the people, and for the working people of this country. Thank you and good night. To welcome President Clinton, the 42nd President of the United States, to say some words. President Clinton.
Let me say, if I had known he was going to give such a good speech, I'm not sure I would have let him go first. I love that line. They've still got the Republicans in the House and Greenspan. I might use that a little along the way. Let me say to all of you, I'm delighted to be back. I am grateful to the people of Maine for twice voting for me and Al Gore and giving us people of Maine for giving the country one of the best friends I ever made in politics and my partner in peace in Northern Ireland, George Mitchell. I thank you for your strong support of my friend of over 30 years, Congressman Tom Allen. I'm glad to see you here tonight. I want to talk a little tonight about the importance of the races for Senate and House, about the importance of the race for governor, about what the Republicans have done have made the governor's race even more important, but why these races for national office are of profound significance. I should tell you that your Senate candidate, Shelley Pingree, is in Washington tonight with Senator Daschle, but I believe her children are here. Stand up, you guys. Now look, I want to have a conversation tonight. I know everybody's in a good humor. I don't want to. I'm not running for anything, and I'm afraid I'm a little out of practice at giving these speeches. I don't know if I've got any juice anymore, but I'm going to try. But I'll tell you one thing. When you get a little distance from the day-to-day pressures of politics and government, you may lose a little edge, but you also gain a little perspective. And I can see the big picture in ways I sometimes couldn't see it when I was in Washington. And I want you to know that there are profound differences that you know, and maybe some you haven't thought about, between the two parties. I don't want you to treat them the way they treated me. We don't have to, the way they're trying to treat your candidates. We don't have to be mean to them. We don't have to demean them. But we do have to say, what are the differences and what are the consequences? This is a very close election. We could actually win up to 12 House seats. But as you just heard, 20 seats hang within the balance. They're now within 5 points, one way or the other, all over the country. There are 15 close Senate seats. There are probably 20 that could still go either way, given a bump in the road one way or the other. Our margin in the Senate is a single vote. And all over America, Republican incumbents are going out there trying to convince their constituencies that they're going to protect Social Security and they're really for a Patient's Bill of Rights and they're really for Medicare, prescription drug benefits. And to hear them talk, you couldn't tell the difference of whether they're Republicans or Democrats. But when they get to Washington, they vote for Trent Lott for Majority Leader. And they vote to confirm all those right-wing judges that are young. And I remember when Hillary first heard Shelley Pingree give a speech, and she came home and said, I don't know if that woman can win, but we'd sure be a lot better off if she did. And I thank her for running. So, I want to talk to you a little about this. Here is the root of the difference. Most of our crowd gets into politics because we believe in using the power of government to create more opportunity for people and to build a bigger community and to do things like protect the environment so that our children and grandchildren will be better off. I'll tell you an interesting story. In 1996 in the White House, I was having a meeting with the Republican and Democratic leadership. I don't even remember what the subject was now, but at the time, the then senator from New York, Senator D'Amato, was having hearings going after my wife. And I think it's interesting that he's retired and she's a senator from New York. But this is 96 now. So I asked one of the Republican leaders with whom I'd had a very good personal relationship over the years, because his governor was a friend of mine and a friend of his. I said, would you mind staying after this meeting? He said, no. And I said, let me ask you something. I said, Washington's about to drive me nuts. I said, I want to know if you think Hillary or I did anything wrong in this Whitewater deal. Not even illegal, just wrong. You think we did anything wrong? And he started laughing. He said, my God, anybody with a double-digit IQ that read the evidence would know you didn't do anything wrong. He said, that's not the purpose of all this. We're trying to make people think you did something wrong. And he said, you know, you Democrats kill me. He said, most of you get into politics because you really think you can help people. We're conservatives. We don't believe the government can improve on human nature. We just like power. And he said, we got the press down in you because they get power the same way we do, by smashing you and Hillary and the administration. It was a stunning insight. And after that, I just did fine. I was in a good humor for 4 years because I realized what the deal was, you know. I got the deal. And so I said to myself, I said, okay, I understand now that this is the cost of my doing business in Washington. I'll be darned if I let them run me off. I think I'll show up for work every day. $70 million of your money to prove that I was a senator, something my friends in Arkansas could have told me for free to start out with. But you have to understand, the reason they did that is because what drives them is not opportunity and community. What drives them is power and control. Now, because we're trying to actually do things, and we know we can't be right all the time, we actually believe that we should make arguments and marshal evidence for our positions. But because they don't care about that, they govern by ideology and attack. That's why he was reading what he did about the nature of the attacks on it. This is like a carbon copy of what they do everywhere. They have to make him look like some sort of space alien, otherwise he wins, right? Because he's for what you're for, and the other fellow won't be. This is not rocket science here. You don't have to have a PhD to figure out what's going on. Now, the people of Maine have increasingly rejected their politics and embraced ours. So if a Republican wants to get elected here, they have to look moderate. Then they go down and vote for Trent Lott and all those judges. Or they go down and vote for Mr. Hassert, Mr. Arby, and Mr. DeLay. Now, here's the deal. Since we believe in evidence, we ought to look at it. They had a deficit, we ran a surplus, they got a deficit. They lost jobs, we created jobs, they're losing jobs. They raised unemployment, we lowered unemployment, they're raising it. So they say, well, politics doesn't have anything to do with any of this. But when I passed my economic plan, they said it'd be the worst disaster the world had ever seen. Oh, it's going to bring a terrible recession. And then we had the longest expansion in history. They said, oh, presidents don't have much to do with the economy. Because evidence doesn't have anything to do with it. This is about ideology and power. You want to stand against that. There are people's lives at stake here. You know, I'll just give you one example. I'm it tickles me to use this because, as I said, I never made a nickel in my life until after I got out of the White House. Now I'm in the maximum income tax bracket. I kind of like it, and I get to tell this story, so you listen. After September the 11th, our country was reeling and hurting, but longing to be strong and united. And we had some very good days, and we all were better. One of the best days President Bush ever had in office. It's something I'll never forget. I always try to say something good about my adversaries. This is one thing. He's not my adversary, but he's the leader of the other party. One of the best things he did the whole time he's been there, after September the 11th, was to go to a mosque and meet with Muslim leaders and say, our enemy is terror, not Islam. And I really respect that. This frightening anti-immigrant feeling that we saw sweeping across Europe. And I thought, we're moving in the right direction. And then the Congress got in harness again, you know. And we were all asked to sacrifice. And we all said, okay, didn't we? Sign me up. What's my deal? So poor people were told to fight the war on terror and make America more secure, they'd have to give up their job training funds. And they got rid of that program. We've got a lot of teachers here. We had a program to put 100,000 teachers in the classroom for smaller classes in the early grades. We got more kids in school than ever before, and 2 million teachers retired over the last decade. This was a big deal. And the first thing they did was get rid of it. They got rid of it, but, well, we all have to sacrifice. They tried to get rid of 160,000 after-school slots we had, and the Democrats stopped that, but they said, well, we all have to sacrifice. Middle-class people, when I left office, we had Social Security. I left enough money to take Social Security out to 2053, all to include the life of all but the most fortunate of the baby boom generation. When I took office, Medicare was going broke in 1999. When I left office, it was good to 2027. Get us through half the lifespan of the baby boom generation, and plenty of time to figure out what else to do. Then all of a sudden, all that money was gone. But we all have to sacrifice. So I'm waiting for somebody to tell me what my sacrifice is, right? Because I really got something to give. My sacrifice, and everybody in my income group, according to the people that run things in Washington now, was to open the envelope. I had to take the energy. This is my sacrifice. I had to muster the energy to open the envelope containing my tax cut. Yeah. You think about it. That is bad politics, bad policy, bad ethics, horrible, horrible economics. It is wrong. The economic profile of Maine and my home state of Arkansas, they're not that different. I stay in touch with a lot of the people I went to elementary school with, and junior high school and high school every time I go home. I stay up half the night and play cards with my best friend from grade school, the girl I took to the senior party and her husband, my best friend from junior high school, and 2 or 3 other people, just so I stay in touch with them. Most of the people I know never got close to $100,000 a year in income. And they've been good Americans. They've served in the military, they have paid their taxes, they have raised their children, they have done everything they possibly can. Their number one worry, we are the oldest of the baby boomers, their number one worry is that when we retire, we will impose an unconscionable burden on our children and their ability to raise our grandchildren. And the idea that I am going to get a check that is coming right out of the Social Security retirement funds of the people I grew up with who worked just as hard as I did the last 35 years is wrong. But that's what they want to do because that's what their ideology tells them they should do. They want to weaken this government, weaken this budget, to try to force us to privatize Social Security in the face of the stunning performance of the market. They still want to do it. Why? Because it's ideology. Don't bother me with evidence. Market might as well be at 12,000. Now, we're laughing and we're sober. This is a big deal. We're laughing to keep from crying. That's why every Senate seat matters and why you shouldn't give up on this. That's why every House seat matters and why you should make sure he wins. And look at the environment. Again, what have they tried to do to the environment? The Audubon Society said when I set aside over 40 million acres of roadless lands in the National Forest, it was the most significant conservation move in 4 decades. We set aside more land in the lower 48 states than any president since Roosevelt. We had cleaner air, cleaner water, safer food, and the economy got better. The more we did to the environment, the better the economy got. Now, what happened? They tried to weaken the roadless acres, review most of the other stuff I did. They even tried to get rid of the standard on arsenic, but it turned out there weren't even very many Republicans who wanted more arsenic in the water, so they had to back off of that. But you can't blame them because that's what they promised to do. Oh, they put it under that nice package, compassionate conservatism. And I've been in politics a long time, and I really appreciate good rhetoric. All politics is a combination of rhetoric and reality. In this case, the rhetoric is compassion and the reality is conservatism. And they are doing, you can't be mad at them. They're doing what they told us they were going to do on the environment. They told us they'd go after it. And they're doing what they believe. It's what their ideology believes. You don't have to say they're bad people. They believe this is the right thing to do. We're now told after all this hoopla about education that we're going to have flat funding, federal funding for education for 7 years. We had a 75% increase in education funding, the biggest increase in college aid since the GI Bill 50 years ago. We went from 0 to 1.6 million kids in after-school programs. It was a priority. It's what we believe. Don't you think there won't be a difference in where we come out, even in the next 2 years with education funding, if we add 2 or 3 Senate seats to our margin and we win the House back? This is a big deal. And I say this, I could give you lots of other examples. But if you believe in opportunity and community, if you believe that it was no accident that America got better, it wasn't me, it was us. It wasn't because I was president, it was because we did the right things. It was because the ideas we had and the things we fought for and the changes we made had consequences, just like the policies that are being enacted today have consequences. This is about evidence. We have evidence. Your values, your vision, it works. It works. And I want you, I'm glad we've had a good fun tonight, and I love that riff about Hastert, Army, and delay. But you know, I reached the point where I really think a lot about children and grandchildren and what America's going to be like 30 years from now. I think a lot about what kind of world we're going to live in. I tried to make America a force for peace and freedom and prosperity and coming together. I was proud of this debate in the Congress today because whichever side you're on, we should honor our dissenters in tough questions like this, because a lot of times in American history, the dissenters turned out to be right. And I honor. But this election should not turn on the question of Iraq, because I've been president, and I can tell you, in the end, the president will do what he believes is the right thing to do, no matter how the vote comes out. And this election should turn on the matters where we can change the course of the country in the Congress. And I want you to understand that every single vote in every single state, in every single Senate and House race, could change the course of American history. And in Maine, because this is a small enough state that people can actually know each other and talk to each other and argue with each other and debate and get in each other's face in a good way, you know, and really fight this stuff out, you can change the outcome of any election you want. in the next 4 weeks between now and Election Day. You can do that. You can do that. And I want to say, let me just say, all these arguments, believe it or not, have maybe even greater force for you and how you live in the governor's race. How can that be? I must say, before I heard you give that speech, I had mixed feelings about John Baldacci living in Congress, because I knew it was a tough congressional district. And I thought he was a great, great congressman. And I liked him immensely. But I'll tell you something, I was a governor for a dozen years before I was president. I began to think I'd never get a promotion. I loved it every day. And I know what it's like to be a governor in tough economic times. In the 1980s, the middle of America, where I lived, was in terrible shape. In the last 10 years I was governor, there was only 1 month where our unemployment rate was below the national average till I ran for president. And that year we led the country in job growth. But we worked for 10 years to redo our economy to do it. And here's what I want to tell you. In tough times, in a bad economy, it is even more important to have a good governor. Because you can't do in Maine what they do in Washington. You can't do what the Republicans decided to do. They just up and decided, well, we'll go back and have red ink. Now, the truth is, I don't mind them running a deficit this year and next year, or last year, because we had September the 11th and we got an economy that's down. We need to give unemployment benefits to the poor. We need to, the unemployed, we need to spend some money. That's why I ran these surpluses and got the money in the bank, so if an emergency came along, we could spend it. What I mind is, they've given us deficits as far as the eye can see to pay me a tax cut. That's what I'm against. And that's what's going to weaken the Maine economy. So, whether we like it or not, you're stuck in Maine with the economic consequences of the decisions which have been made. And that means the next governor will have to say no as well as yes. Therefore, it is profoundly important that you have somebody who will put your children first, who will take care of the basic needs of people who can't take care of themselves, who will make a serious effort to strengthen and diversify this economy, and who will do it in a way that inspires the trust of the people. And just remember, it's a little slogan, but it's true. In a bad economy, it's more important to have a good governor. I told some people in a group I just came from, I said, you know, when the economy is real good, the governor can practically have a lobotomy and still be popular. Because the legislature just sends money to everybody. The teachers are happy, everybody's happy, we're all smiling, we got plenty of money. When the economy is bad, you have to have somebody that shares your values, has a vision you can get behind, and understands the competence it requires to make those tough decisions. You should be very glad that you have got a person of the quality of John Baldacci running for governor at this moment. From the struggles you've had in Maine to preserve your economy, to make it a home for all people and all your rich and textured diversity, to build a good education system for your children, to the problems that I often work on in Africa, on AIDS and poverty and education, the things I do in India to try to rebuild the economy there, to our fight against terror and the arguments we have with people who believe they can find their salvation in our destruction. If you look all over the world today, you find that we live in a highly interdependent world, but we are not yet an integrated global community. We don't yet have a way of sharing our values, sharing our wealth, sharing our possibilities, sharing a future that will give us the kind of community that we Democrats believe we should always be working for. When this country got off the ground, the geniuses who put it together understood, among other things, that they were hypocrites. Thomas Jefferson said, "When I think of slavery, I tremble to know that God is just." In other words, they knew that we had ideals that we weren't living by. And they defined the mission of the United States in terms that no one will ever improve on. They said our mission is to form a more perfect union. We will never have a perfect union because we're not perfect people. The mission of America, even when we're stumbling, is to stumble in the right direction, to form a more perfect union. And at this moment in our history, that mission is borne by our party because we care more about opportunity for others than power for ourselves. Because we care more about a community, because we care more about a community of shared benefits and shared responsibilities than we care about whether we always run the show. Because we want to build a world where, yes, we can stand against terrorists, but where we also have more partners and fewer terrorists, and where children have a chance to live in these environments. That is our mission. And I want you to think about that. We have to throw bodies against the wall. They always have more money than we do. But we have to have enough money. That's the last thing I'm going to say about this. Because we may have to get it in 1 and 10 and 20 and 50 and $100 denominations. But your candidates have to have enough money. Do you know what the definition of enough is? It's not as much as the other guys have. The definition of enough is, when you're all said and done, do the voters know who you are? Do they know what you stand for? And then when they attack you, can you answer? Because no matter how much you're for peace, unilateral disarmament does not work when dealing with the Republicans. So we have to know who our people are, what they stand for, and when they attack you, can you answer? Do your candidates have that much? If they don't, you ought to give it to them. In little amounts. And you ought to make up your mind when you walk out of here tonight that every single day between now and Election Day, you're going to go up to as many people as you can and have an honest conversation about what you believe and why. And what's at stake here. Just remember, you have the evidence on your side. We tried their deal, we tried our deal, we're trying their deal again. Our deal works better. It works better. It helps more people, it helps more children, it builds a better future. So I wanted to talk to you tonight, not just give a speech. I want to tell you how grateful I am. I want to tell you how proud I am to be a member of my party. I'm proud of Senator Daschle. I'm proud of Mr. Gebhardt. I'm proud of the junior senator from New York, whom I think is doing a great job. I'm proud of the remarkable men and women we have running across the country. We got a chance to elect a ticket in Texas that has an African-American Senate candidate and a Latino governor's candidate. There's a good chance they'll both win. In my home state of Arkansas, in the Old South, we have a chance to elect our first woman governor and an African-American lieutenant governor. By and large, we have a chance of doing better in states like Maine, which are smaller, where people power can overcome money power, and where people understand in concrete terms the meaning of community, of environment, of education, of doing things that will benefit our children 10 years from now instead of taking the money and run, which is really what happened in all these corporate accounting scandals. It was really just a funny private way of finding a way to take the money and run. It's a way of saying, I'll take mine today and I don't give a rip about what happens to everybody else tomorrow. Not my investors, not my employees, not my customers, not anybody else. That's what it's about. We are not the take the money and run crowd. I don't want my tax cut. I want the people who serve in the cafes in Maine to be able to send their kids to college with that money. I don't need it. I need a good society to live in. That's who we are. But I'll tell you one thing I've learned with all the great opportunities I've had since I left the White House. Even former presidents want things that can only be achieved by free people working together through the political system and electing people that they give a proxy to. You elect a senator, you elect a House member, you elect a governor, you say, here is a piece of me, I give it to you for your term. I give you a piece of my head, I give you a piece of my heart. Go and fulfill my dreams and fight my fears and take care of my children and grandchildren. That's what this election is all about. You can win them all here in Maine. Go and do it. Thank you. God bless you.
Rally Maine 2002. We have a gift for you from Maine, made in Maine. We appreciate your coming here very, very much and supporting our candidates. And even though there's going to be a loss in Congress of Congressman John Baldacci, it's a win here in terms of Governor John Baldacci.